Okay, let's jump right in. We're looking at a pretty huge challenge today. How do we feed nearly 10 billion people by 2050?
Yeah, it's a massive number. And the sources we looked at suggest current methods just won't scale. It sounds like we need something totally different.
Exactly. Not just more of the same, but a real leap. So, our deep dive today is on how quantum technology, quantum computing, might be that leap for the global food crisis.
It's definitely positioned that way. I mean, the urgency is there because the math just doesn't add up otherwise. We need, what, a 60 to 70% increase in food production?
Which sounds almost impossible given where we are now.
Well, yeah. Agriculture already uses about 70% of all freshwater withdrawals globally, and it's responsible for maybe a quarter to a third of greenhouse gas emissions. We're already straining the planet.
And that's the frustrating part, isn't it? We have all this agriculture 4.0, tech AI, sensors, precision farming. It's clever stuff.
It is. But it seems to have hit a kind of computational ceiling, a glass ceiling, as some put it.
Why? What can't current computers, even supercomputers, handle?
Well, the really fundamental problems, the ones that could unlock big breakthroughs, they're rooted in quantum mechanics, simulating molecules precisely, navigating these vast genetic landscapes for crops.
Uh-huh.
Classical computers just choke on that complexity. Too many variables, too many possibilities, they're sort of intractable problems for them. So quantum is framed as the necessary next step.
Okay, so let's get specific. Where could quantum make the biggest impact first? Your sources point strongly towards redesigning agricultural inputs, like rethinking the Green Revolution's chemistry.
Absolutely. And the big target there is fertilizer production, specifically the Haber-Bosch process for making ammonia.
Right, essential for yields, but incredibly energy intensive.
Hugely. It eats up something like 1–2% of the world's total energy and kicks out maybe 2–3% of global CO2 emissions. It's a massive industrial process with a big footprint.
But nature has a solution, right? Nitrogen fixation, the enzyme nitrogenase, it works at room temperature.
Precisely. And this is where quantum computing could be a game changer. It can perform exact simulations of how molecules like nitrogenase actually work at the quantum level, understand that active site.
Which classical computers struggle with.
Exactly. So by simulating it accurately, scientists could potentially design new industrial catalysts that mimic nature making ammonia efficiently with low energy, low carbon. That fundamentally changes the fertilizer equation.
Wow, okay. So that handles the inputs. What about the plants themselves? Crop breeding still takes ages, like 10, 15 years. Why the bottleneck there?
It's again about complexity. The sheer number of possible gene combinations when you're trying to breed for multiple complex traits simultaneously, like drought resistance and better nutrition.
So it's a search problem, basically.
A massive search problem. It's currently slow, painstaking trial and error over decades. But quantum machine learning, QML, could analyze genomic data exponentially faster.
How much faster are we talking?
Well, the hope is to compress that 10–15 year cycle down to maybe like 2 or 3 years. Imagine adapting crops to climate shifts almost in real time. That's the potential.
Okay, inputs, biology. What about the whole system? Logistics, waste. I remember reading that a third of all food is lost or wasted. That's staggering.
It is over $1 trillion worth globally. And this is another area where quantum algorithms could really shine, tackling these huge combinatorial optimization problems.
Like figuring out the absolute best way to ship food globally to minimize spoilage.
Exactly. Think optimizing the entire cold chain in real time. Quantum modeling could potentially integrate sensor data, weather patterns, everything to predict spoilage and route food perfectly. It's about radical efficiency gains across the whole system.
This all sounds incredibly powerful, but let's be realistic. Quantum computers are hugely expensive, complex machines right now. How does this actually reach, say, a small farmer in a developing country? Is this just for big corporations?
That's the critical question, isn't it? The main model being discussed is quantum as a service, quad-based access.
So farmers wouldn't own the quantum computer.
No, they'd access its power remotely. In theory, this could democratize it, allow smaller players to leapfrog older tech and get access to hyper-accurate climate models, farm management advice, tailored to their specific plot.
But there's a but.
There's a big but. The technology is still very much in its infancy. We're in the NISQ era, noisy intermediate-scale quantum. These machines are powerful, but also fragile, error-prone, and cost millions. It's early days.
And it creates other risks too, right? You mentioned this idea of a quantum divide.
Yeah. If only wealthy nations or large corporations can afford to develop and use these tools, it could widen the gap. Plus, you need entirely new skills. The quantum agronomist, someone who understands both quantum algorithms and soil science. That's a rare combination,
The talent pipeline is a challenge.
a huge one. And then there are ethical concerns around data. Who owns the farm data? Who controls the algorithms making the recommendations?
There's a risk of what? Digital feudalism, where farmers become dependent on a few tech giants.
That's the fear. If control over this incredibly powerful predictive capability and the data streams that feed it shifts entirely away from farmers to large corporations, you raise serious questions about data sovereignty and equity. Getting the frameworks right now is crucial.
So, wrapping this up, what's the final thought you want to leave people with? What's the ultimate vision here?
Well, the optimistic vision, the promise,
Yeah.
is using this incredibly deep quantum-level understanding of nature, of molecules, of genetics, of complex systems, to finally build a food system that truly works with nature, one that delivers global nutrition and genuine sustainability by 2050.
But the big question mark remains.
The question is whether this powerful tool will genuinely help us achieve that sustainable future for everyone, or will the access barriers, the data control issues, create a new kind of inequality? Will the quantum agronomist work for the planet or just for the highest bidder? That's what we need to watch.